In early September, we were invited by the Canadian-led NATO multinational brigade in Latvia to attend a large-scale exercise by the name of Oak Resolve. It wasn't just any exercise, rather it was the multinational battle group's biannual combat readiness evaluation exercise. On this trip, we had the chance to speak with a few Canadian service members while getting to watch them perform some skilled tasks in order to combat their fictitious exercise enemy, this time played by Danish forces. So in today's video, we share our experience behind the scenes of Oak Resolve, discussing what the exercise is, how it works, and why it's so important. So you probably know by now that there is a NATO multinational brigade in Latvia. It's currently made up of personnel from some 14 countries, and Canada leads this unit, providing a large number of combat forces. Exercises like Oak Resolve are what is known as CREVALs, a term which stands for Combat Readiness Evaluations. The exercise evaluated the multinational battle group, but not other elements of the larger brigade. But to explain further, we let Major Hillier and Major McCutcheon of the Canadian Forces explain.
We have a bunch of troops that come from 11 troop contributing nations for the brigade. We have 14 nations represented here overall. And while they do send troops that are tested and ready to fight, the combat readiness evaluation is the first test that they come together as a cohesive NATO troop, and they can validate their readiness to execute their deterrence and defense missions if and when required.
My role within the exercise is to evaluate the readiness and the capabilities of the battle group and to provide assurance to NATO and to the Supreme Allied Commander Europe that the battle group is ready to fight. 10 evaluators. We're looking at the unit's standard operating procedures, tactics, techniques, and procedures to make sure that they're still relevant, that everyone is still interoperable, as you can imagine, with all the different nations involved in the battle group. There are different ways of doing things, but as a cohesive group, we just ensure that everyone is able to work together and is able to effectively complete their mission.
For this media opportunity, transportation was courtesy of Brigade Reconnaissance.
Just remember that when you're getting in the vehicle, you'll have the observer in the back. He'll open and close the ramp for you, and he'll let you know to get in or out of the vehicle.
Us members of the media were shuttled around in the unit's LAV-6s, which, for those who don't know, are Canadian Forces 8x8 wheeled infantry fighting vehicles from General Dynamics Land Systems Canada. These are armed with 25mm cannons and the latest sensors and upgraded armor. Our first stop was to see an M777 being air transported by a Royal Canadian Air Force Chinook, a helicopter that has a maximum slinging payload of 12.7 metric tons. With the M777 weighing a little less than 4.6 metric tons, this type of task is never a problem. Although the Chinooks had only been in Latvia for about 2 months, it was far from their first time doing this type of artillery transport in theatre. We have a video on the activities of these aircraft, so do check it out later. At the same time, it's notable that what you're seeing here was the first time the Chinooks participated in an exercise of this nature. And so, for this experience, here is Captain Pinto to explain what you're seeing.
I'm Captain Pinto. I'm the gun position officer here for D battery, what is the M777 battery. The M777 is a lightweight 155 howitzer, which you can see here. We're the only air mobile capable battery. So how we do that is through HUSO, what is helicopter underslung operations, in which a Chinook helicopter will come and lift this gun through the rigging that we've done here and be able to rapidly deploy this artillery asset throughout the battle space. What this does is allow us to quickly deploy, redistribute fire assets so that we can strike the enemy indiscriminately with effects and fires.
From here, with our skin freshly exfoliated from the dust and debris of the helicopter's rotor wash, we headed over to see the brigade's ISR operations, more specifically, the battle group's military intelligence unit.
My role in this exercise is a junior analyst. We are doing battle tracking and passing up actionable intelligence from our sensors, our UAV, EW assets, and anything on the ground.
We fuse it all together and try to create a intelligence picture of what's happening in the battle space. I'm the guy responsible for tasking these sensors where to go, when to be there, and what areas to go look at up to 72 hours ahead of time to try to predict where our adversary may be on the battle space given a certain time. This enables the ISR company to potentially prosecute with artillery fire and eliminate these enemies before they can become a problem.
We also got to see a surveillance drone being launched.
There's quite a few assets that are out there that we're trying to find, some of which are tanks. There's vehicles that are perceiving different armored assets. So our job is to use our EO camera or electro-optical, and then your IR, which will pick up any heat signatures.
The RQ-21A Blackjack is produced by In Situ, which is a subsidiary of the major American aerospace company Boeing. Canada is actually the first foreign military to acquire the system from the US Navy. The day was capped off watching infantry clear a wooded area, although with no enemy forces located nearby, we didn't get to see any firefights take place. So that's everything we saw on the NATO side of the exercise. While it must be quite an interesting experience for Danish commanders and troops to be playing the enemy, we didn't get a chance to see them in action. Nonetheless, here are photos of Danish troops during the exercise taken by others. In case you were wondering about how the combat readiness of Danish forces could be evaluated if they were playing OPFOR, well, we were told that they completed their own readiness evaluation prior to deployment. But one final note about the field experience and Canadian forces is that we passed many of these vehicles but didn't get a chance to inquire about them or get any good shots. And so in case you were wondering, these are Tactical Armoured Patrol Vehicles, or TAPVs. Built by Textron Systems Canada, the four-wheeled vehicles were first delivered to Canadian forces in 2016. These 4x4s were acquired for reconnaissance and surveillance, as well as patrolling, liaison, and VIP transport roles. One of the challenging things for us as a YouTube channel is to present these types of opportunities to you, the viewer, in a way that goes beyond the standard, yet important, NATO talking points of reassurance, deterrence, and collective defense. As you might understand, members of the military are less likely to go on camera and talk about areas of improvement or deficiencies that need to be addressed. But for this particular trip outside of those standard talking points, we can tell you that many Canadian service members we talk to love their time deployed to Latvia, even if they are living far away from the big city in military barracks at Camp Ardagi. One soldier even said that he wouldn't be too upset if his deployment had to be extended by a few weeks. Yes, he would prefer to go home, but, well, there are also worse places to be deployed. At the same time, many of these troops arrived around midsummer, so maybe they'll be quite ready to head back to Canada after experiencing a Baltic autumn with plenty of rain and scarce sunshine. But to wrap up this video, we do have to echo those common talking points a little bit by pointing out just how many nations have committed their forces and equipment to defending NATO's eastern flank. Boots on the ground is one thing, but this is only effective when those troops are training together on a regular basis and ensuring interoperability amid such diversity. Such activities will ensure an effective fighting force when the time comes, or better yet, serve to deter aggressive neighbors from even attempting anything in the first place. The TAP-V, LAV-6, Leopard 2A4, M777. What do you think of the equipment that Canada has brought to Latvia? Let us know by leaving a comment.